Okay, let's go through what happened yesterday, should we, at Anfield? And let's start with the first half because I was pretty annoyed. I was watching it, and basically what it was a Tottenham team that you just don't want to see. It was weak, it was pathetic, frail, no intensity whatsoever. If you look at when Liverpool lost the ball, you look at Salah running back, hunting a player down with the ball, Trent, the midfielders, Harvey Elliott. They were so much more intense than us. They wanted the ball more than us. And I didn't think that would happen for this Tottenham team, but it is what has happened for the last few weeks. When you look at not just our defence, ignore the set pieces a minute, ignore the sloppy goals we concede, even the quality in attack. Think of the intensity that we were playing at the start of the season compared to now. It's a drastic difference. I actually can't really remember us pressing once until the 60th, 70th minute when the subs came on. Now, I think Son has a little bit of a part to play in that because I think his legs are a little bit gone this season. And I think up front, I always think of his Etihad performance, but he was performing like it every game. He was the number 9, and he was just pressing constantly through the whole 90 minutes. And we were actually scoring more goals from pressing rather than our actual possession football. What's happening lately is we're playing the possession football, which, by the way, has gotten worse, no doubt. But we're not pressing as much either. And I'm an advocate for Son as a striker, but I do think he's tired. And when you look at what Richarlison has just done, I think he has to start up front now. I think his pressing, and I have to give massive respect to him because he's the only one, actually, him and Romero, that came on and actually showed something. Brennan Johnson was soft as shit when he played yesterday. Son was soft. Everyone was soft. Bentancur was soft. Harvey Elliott's goal, which was a wonderful goal, by the way, no doubt. Beautiful goal from his point of view. But from Bentancur, I've just realised I'm leaning this way so the audio will be a bit to the left. But Bentancur has to do better. And there was just a lack of intensity. Even Pap Sarr, where was it? Where was the balls in the game? There was none from any of the players until Richarlison came on. And he gets his critics. And do I know if he's good enough to play for Tottenham Hotspur as a lone striker? I don't know. I really don't. There's times where you think, what are you doing? But if he's going to put performances like that, he was playing for his position. He was playing for the shirt yesterday. And I think so many Spurs fans have responded to that and grew a respect for Richarlison over the past 16 hours or however long the game was, 24 hours ago. You have to pay respect to that effort. And the goal was fantastic. The assist to Son was really good. And yeah, he was brilliant when he came on. And we only started pressing when he was the striker. Was that, a whole system kind of thing? Was that a tactic? Or was that because Son wasn't pressing as the striker? Because the press always has to come from the striker, essentially. Anyway, so that's Richarlison. That's the pressing. There was none of it. When we lost the ball, it was so soft. Look at their first goal, the header from Mo Salah. Look at the ball before that. It's just awful. When Salah hits the bar from his cross, no one marking him. And we look out of legs, flat, which is what Gary Neville said a lot yesterday. We look flat, and we do. And there's no excuse because we've not had European football. You look at Liverpool, they've played FA Cup. I think more rounds in the FA Cup than us. They have played, they lost to Man United, didn't they? They've played Carabao Cup final. They've got to the Europa League quarter-final, was it? So there's no excuse for this Tottenham team to be flat versus a Liverpool team that's probably played, 10 more games overall? 10 to 15 more games. There's no excuse. And yeah, that was the disappointing thing for me, was just how lacking in intensity and fight. It was so poor. Really, really poor. Liverpool, of course, did what they did. They turned up against us. Salah was brilliant. Salah turns up against us at Anfield. I hate Tottenham going to that ground because you just see the same things every year. I do think we should have had a penalty to make it 4-3. But that's not... I don't really care, to be honest, about fouls and referees. I've had enough of that. I prefer talking about the football. And what else can we talk about, really? The wingers are a problem, aren't they? At Spurs, I thought Brennan Johnson was so poor yesterday. Really, really poor. And you think £50 million, what are we doing? Kulusevski's just not cutting it, really, either. And he's a weird player because there was a moment in the first half where we actually played really good football. And this team can play really good football. We've seen it at the start of the season. And when we actually allow teams in and we actually have the confidence to play, we are good. There was a moment like near the corner flag, the right-sided corner flag yesterday, where, Vicario gives it to Romero, gives it to Kulusevski. He does it brilliantly, and I think he gives it to Bentancur or Sarr, one of the midfielders. And it was fantastic. And Kulusevski can do that. And there's times where you're like, you are a brilliant footballer, and he is a brilliant footballer, especially in tight areas. I do think his future will be in a 10. I don't know whether that will be at Spurs, but I do think he will be a 10 in the future in his career. And then there's times, though, where he's on the counter-attack, or you want him to do something from the wing, and he just doesn't do it because it's too predictable. He's not very quick. He does have a little bit of fear taking on his man, it seems. I'm not sure whether that injury... He had quite a few injuries, didn't he, last year? I'm not sure how much they affected him. But yeah, that disappointing. The winger situation is bad. And I've said this before. Son's decline as a winger, or just in general, is actually worse than Kane leaving. But yeah, the substitutes changed the game. And I think we would all like to see those subs being used more often. Oliver Skipp was fantastic. He actually came on at the Etihad and did really well. He helped us win that game so much. Draw that game, sorry. It's like a win for Spurs, though, isn't it? Drawing at the Etihad. He was vital to us in that game. And he was at Anfield. I think he's a really good player, man. I think he's been seriously underrated in our fan base. And do we see him playing left back for the rest of the season? I'm not sure. I mean, he's played himself into a position where he could be a starter for us. Now, you look at the intensity he played at yesterday, he actually showed some bollocks on like half of the other players, or 90% of the other players. Yeah, I mean, I would be happy with that. Richarlison, I think, has to start up front. Now, I think Son's legs have gone, and we need something in that striker position because we haven't got anything. Although, I mean, this season actually doesn't matter. I mean, I really hope we lose versus Man City. And Burnley, we probably might get a draw. Sheffield United might get a draw. I don't know. I actually don't really care what happens from here. But talking about next season, I think you're looking at... I don't know who to play up front. Like I said, Son's decline is a bigger problem than Kane leaving because what do you do? We have this £60 million striker in Richarlison, and then Son, who can't really play on the wing anymore. But Son is a really good striker now. But if he plays striker, Richarlison can't play. It's just a confusing situation. I'm glad I'm not Ange Postecoglou. Yeah, a tough one. And Lo Celso is the last thing I want to talk about, because how many times has he come on, done really well, because he doesn't lose the ball ever, helps us keep possession really well, He's been really good in an attacking sense. He's been better than James Maddison for a good period now. But Ange won't play him. And probably because Lo Celso will want to leave at the end of the year. But I think Lo Celso wants to leave because he's not getting game time. So I think he's been treated a little bit unfairly. I think he does deserve a start. And yeah, pretty disappointing again to go 4-0 down. I don't think we should get credit for bringing it back to 4-2 because it shouldn't be 4-0 in the first place. I think Vicario should have done better for Salah's header, though, by the way. I've been very praiseworthy, that word. I've praised Vicario a lot this year. I think he's actually been the best keeper in the Premier League, arguably alongside maybe like Emi Martinez. But yeah, I think he should have saved that. Let me know what you thought of the game. Does it excite you for next season? Is there promising things out of that game, or do you see that game as a massive negative for next season? And I'm not really going to speak on Ange because obviously I think Ange should have next year. I don't even think that's worth talking about. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the game. If you are a Liverpool fan as well, let me know what you thought. I thought Liverpool were really good. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Subscribe if you are new. Like the video if you enjoyed it. And that helps a lot. And thank you for watching.